All right, I'm going to record this for those who need to go back and watch it later. And I will upload it into the Google Drive because I know it'll make sense right now, but then if you don't do it yourself for 3 weeks, then you might need something to go back and reference. So we'll just wait about 2 more minutes because I don't want to start early and then have 25 people join us, and then we'll have gotten too far ahead. While I'm going to do that, I'm going to run to the restroom real quick.
Sure.
Bless you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, it's 10 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started, and anybody else that joins can just pop in. Lots of good stuff today. So I'm going to go to a share screen and probably stay on it. So I won't necessarily see all of you. So please just unmute yourself and chime in with any questions. Okay. All right. So I don't want to turn this into a full-blown MLS training class. You guys have online stuff to do that. But I will just point out a couple of things that perhaps the training doesn't go over. So I use my home screen for a lot of stuff, but in particular here, I can do a really quick search right from this tab on my home screen by just typing in the address and even just the first 3 letters of the street name, and it will pop up. So that's just a real quick access that I utilize on a daily basis. So just wanted to kind of point that out. Also, you can move these little cells around to wherever you want them. You've got your listings, our office listings. One nice advantage is you can go on and check what our office incoming listings are. So incoming listing is defined as like I went on and I started my new listing, even though like my photographer maybe isn't going to go till Tuesday, but I wanted to get the info started. That's not the same as a coming soon. That's a incomplete, not had went ahead and set active on my listing. So the nice thing with that is for you is then you can actually see what our office incoming listings will be prior to them going active. So I would check that regularly too. Anyway, so I'm going to demonstrate first how to set up a search. So I would go ahead and take detailed notes on this because it's very simple. You'll watch me do it. But again, if you don't go and do it till 2 weeks from now, I promise you'll forget, even though it really is simple. But there's a couple of steps that if you don't do this one step, you won't even have the option of how to set up the auto search. So like if you don't hit the save button, the auto search tab does not appear. So I know from, you know, from you guys really. Hey, Gina, I tried to do it, but I just didn't see anything that said auto search. Well, that's because you didn't hit save. So that's why I want you guys to take notes on it. But okay, so a couple of things across the top here. I do like to add my contact first, but you don't have to. You can do your search first. So that's entirely up to you. Either way, you're going to have to add your contact in. So have their name and email address ready to go. But let's just go ahead right into the search. So you're going to say search residential. You'll see I have some things already defaulted. So your screen won't look like my screen necessarily. So let me get rid of defaults here. So you're going to be looking for setting up a search. So I'm going to go ahead and say, you're going to check coming soon and active. You can think about whether you want to include the contingent under contract allows showings, but let me explain what that means. That could mean that it's contingent on the sale of the buyer's house, which would mean, yes, absolutely show it. Or it could be contingent on inspections and appraisal. I prefer the pending no showings when it's in that status. Most of the time the sellers they've already been battered with showings for 3 days. They don't really want more when they've already got an offer and a backup offer on the house. But that's something for you to talk to your clients about. Like, do you, Mr. Buyer or Mrs. Buyer, want me to send you listings that are contingent? They could be contingent on the buyer's just home inspection or appraisal. I don't want you getting your hopes up with those listings because they're pretty much as good as gone, if that makes sense. So I like to do the coming soon and active. If they haven't been getting any listings, because we know that this market doesn't have a lot, I might then dip in and just see if there's anything available that is contingent, but maybe it's contingent on the sale of someone's house. Subtype condo or single family. So I choose single family. The only time, and I first go down this first column and then I go to the middle. The only time I ever choose style is if someone tells me something very specific like ranch. Gina, do not send me 2 stories. Don't send me split levels. Don't send me bungalows. I absolutely am downsizing from a 2-story into a 1-story. I don't want to see anything but ranches. You'll see here in style, like there's nothing that says 2-story. So what am I going to check for 2-story? Tudor, Victorian, like I'm just not going to rely on the listing agent having put the style in because it's not a required field. So I would only use this if someone was looking for a ranch, to be honest with you. Otherwise, I don't even check anything in that box and I don't do anything else on that column. Then coming up over to the middle column, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. We want to search by school district. However, we don't use the school district box. Remember, this MLS is not just for us. This MLS is for a big chunk of the state of Ohio. Not everybody in Ohio has hokey townships and, you know, you can be in Canal Fulton address, but go to Northwest Schools, or be a Canal Fulton address and go to North Canton Hoover because you just happen to be in that area. You can be in Jackson Township, but have a North Canton address, a Canton address, a Maslin address. That's unusual at other places in our state. So we always want to use this area box right here, not the school district. It is still broken down by school district, but how Stark County's school district is, and Summit. So just for the heck of the search, I already have it defaulted on Stark, so we'll go with Stark. I have it defaulted on Jackson, so we'll just leave it there. But of course, you can choose any of these. You'll start to get used to, so like I know that Jackson's STA07, I know Plain is STA06, blah, blah, blah. So this is really the area that you want to be using. I don't ever use anything for city, and I don't ever use school district. And that's pretty much it that I use in that column as well. Then I'm gonna go over here to the top and I'm gonna type in a price range, and we're gonna just say 200 to 300. And probably if I'm gonna say 200 to 300, I'm actually gonna say 199, because 199.9 is 200, right? So we don't want to miss out on those agents that say 199.9 over $100. So I would go 19, any search, whether it's 49,000 and they say that they're looking from 50 to 80, I always default to the 49. And then do your range. I will tell you, if you only put one price, you'll get only that price. So you can see my matches down here went to 0 when I took away the range. So it needs to be some kind of a range. Or it could be 199 plus, or let's just try this, 500 plus. And now there's 21. If I just say 500, it put me back to 0 and my matches are down here. So that's why you don't want to just have one number. When people call me and say, I can't find anything, is it because you put a price, meaning a single price? That means you're counting on a listing to be exactly that price. So let me go back to the 199 to 300. Bedrooms. If we were in a saturated market, I might go ahead and fill out as much of this criteria to reduce the amount of listings. I'm always conscious of what this matches number is here. So right now in Jackson, within that 100,000 price range, there's only 6 matches. So if I start to say 4+ bedrooms, it's going to drop. So it dropped to 5. Maybe I have a buyer that says I have 5 kids. I have to have more than 4 bedrooms. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and put it in. But if that's not the case, I might do 3 to 4 bedrooms. Just depending. So you can play with it that way, you know, however you want. But we'll just go ahead with the 4+. Total bath, same thing. I would do 2+, and that's always going to pull the total. So 2+ means that would include 1.5 baths. Okay. Square footage, again, I right now we only have 5 to pick from. I'm probably not going to mess with it, but again, depending, if someone says I don't want anything smaller than 2,000 square feet, you can say 2,000+. Wow, so that dropped me to 1 match. So I'm not going to do it. So now we're back up to 5. Because someone who tells me I need more than 2,000 square feet, they probably would still buy a 1,700 square feet if it was perfect. And I had a finished basement, which is not in that total. Again, I'm not going to mess with garages unless it's somebody who says I'm planning on buying something where I have a 4-car garage because I'm going to run my blah, blah, blah business out of my garage. Otherwise, I'm not going to touch it. And I'm certainly not going to do year built right now. In a normal market, there's 30 listings in this criteria. And then I want to shrink that down. So then I'm really trying to fine tune their search for them. So that way, you know, we aren't looking at all kinds of stuff that they're not interested in. But because it's so hard to find listings right now, we're really doing the opposite of what we used to. So when we flip back, which we will, because we always do, we'll retrain ourselves to do it the other way. But for right now, I don't want to have any less than 5 matches. All of this down here, I never, ever, ever use, not ever. Even if someone tells me they have to have a pool, I don't use it. And here's why. If I check pool, but the listing agent didn't check a box that was a field required, but wrote in the remarks that it has a pool, you would miss it. So that means that if you check anything in here, it's going to reduce those amount of listings because an agent didn't check a field that was required. And let me tell you, they do it all the time. I'll give you a perfect example. When I was looking to buy my own house, I was so curious why, when I was looking at it on the MLS, that it didn't say it had central air. I know based on the price, the location, and style of the home, there's no damn way that house doesn't have central air. I almost didn't look at it because I thought it was very strange. Someone would have had to deliberately say, don't put air in my house. That's very unusual in Ohio. But I did almost not look at it. And of course, when we went and looked at it, the first thing I did was walked around the back corner, and sure enough, there was the air conditioner. The agent just didn't check a box. So I could have missed it. So if I would have been searching with this criteria, I wouldn't even have found the house that I've lived in for 20 years. So don't do it. If they say I want a pool, then you just look through remarks and photos and then send it to them that way. All right, questions so far? All right, moving on. I'm going to click results. Now results is going to take me to this page, and this is a one-line view. If I want to look at it, this display has lots of different options. I happen to like the agent thumbnail because it gives me a good amount of information, and it also gives me the photo. So if I'm looking, boy, it's slim pickings in Jackson between 200,000 and 300,000. That's for sure. I might decide, oh yeah, they're not going to like this one. They will like that one, whatever. But honestly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check all of them. I'm going to go back to the one more. I'm going to check that box, which then checks all of them. So this top box checks everything. And here's where that step is. As you can see down here, there's nothing that says new auto email because I haven't hit save yet. As soon as I hit save, now I have a whole new toolbar and it says new auto email. So this is the way that I'm going to set my buyer up in an automatic search so that I don't have to get on the MLS every single day and run this search for them. So new auto email. And then it goes here. So remember when I said you can put your contacts in first or you can create them here? My list of contacts are all here. But let's just go ahead and say I'm going to create a new contact. You have to have the required yellow field. So I'm going to say first name, last name, and email address, and then I'm going to hit save. Or I'm just going to pick a random person that I already added in. I always like it to blind carbon copy me because especially in this market, like just this morning, one of my buyers, a new listing is coming soon. I immediately text her and said, hey, Sue, did you see the house on Edgecliff that's coming soon? It goes active on Saturday. I know it's going to book up. Would you like me to block a time to look at it for you on Saturday? And we did for noon. So, that's why you want to be copied because it's a trigger. Again, why not, remove the steps of extra stuff that you can do in your day. I don't want to log on the MLS and look at, now you can log on and you can see what emails your people have gotten. But to me, it's much easier that I get an email to my phone that Sue has a new listing that popped up in her portal. And now I can follow up and say, hey, this looks like something you'd be interested in. I'm going to title it any number of things. So I'll just say home search in Jackson or whatever. Scrolling down, there's going to be this pre-printed message here. I just left it. Some people like to customize it. I don't want to mess with it. It's instructions how to use their portal. So I'm not going to mess with it. You probably do want to create a signature for yourself. You can edit signature here. You can go into your settings in the MLS to your profile and add your photo and adjust your signature there. I don't use any of these. So I don't want agents texting me all day long because reverse prospecting means that listing agents can see that you have a buyer set up in a search that fits their listings criteria. They can't see your client. They can just see that other agents in the industry have someone set up. I don't want to be inundated with those texts. Right now, people aren't really doing it because the listings are flying off the market anyway. This here is if someone says, don't send me anything that doesn't have a pool, then this, by enabling this mode, it will come to me first, and then I can say, yes, send it to my client or not. Again, I would only use that if, in fact, it's something where they tell me, don't send me all this other crap that you're sending me. I only want stuff with a pool, or I only want stuff with a fenced in backyard, and so on. I don't like it to be on daily. I like it to be ASAP. And once I hit save, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to set her up in a search again, it will automatically have them set up in a search. So what'll happen is they're going to get an email that says Gina has enabled you a portal with automatic emails in this particular criteria. They go into it, they see all the listings that are there in the results, and then from that point on, they will continue to get emails as new listings hit the market that fit their criteria. So I try to do a broad search there, meaning if they're looking in multiple locations, that kind of thing. However, if they're looking for houses and vacant land, I do it as 2 different searches. You can have totally separate searches for the same buyer. So they can be, maybe they're looking for multifamily and like I do actually have someone right now who's an investor, and he's always looking for multifamily, and he's also looking for residential because he would put a tenant in a home as well, or a house. So that's an option as well. But I separate that in 2 entirely different searches. Same with the condo or house. I don't just check both. I do homes in Jackson Township and North Canton, condos in, and so they see the totally difference of each of the searches. Questions on any of that? All right. So then we'll go back to residential again. So that's setting up a search. So that's pretty easy. You know, you can do it in like 5 minutes. It's something pretty simple. Actually, let me go home here. Setting up a showing. So a couple things about scheduling showings. You definitely want to use, if you're doing multiple properties, you can run your search, and then in this bar right here, you can type in the MLS numbers with commas between them. The reason that I might do that is simply because, and let me find a couple. I'll show you why. 27745 and 26968. Okay, let me go back. So if I'm showing 2 houses or more, comma between the 2 MLS numbers, and then hit search, and they're both going to come up right in my list. And then I'm going to check them, and then I'm going to hit map. So now I can see where they are in reference to each other. And now imagine that there's 4 or 5. I want to know, I don't care, I'm not using the map to tell me how to get there. I'm using the map to map out my plan when I schedule the appointments. I hate nothing more than zigzagging all around when I'm showing 4 or 5 houses and I've already passed this one to go to the next one, because I simply could have just saw where they were located on the map. So let's just say there was 2 others and there's one way out here and there's one down here. Why wouldn't I want to start here, go here, there, and then there, right? So like you can see, I also like to go to the furthest place and bring myself back home, because I can control that time. I can leave my house 45 minutes in advance or whatever, get to the furthest point, and then work my way. And when I'm done, I'm close to home. So that's entirely up to you. You know, you're going to schedule your time. So let's just say if I'm showing both these houses on Saturday at noon, I can click on it. So this is the first one. I can click on the MLS number, which takes me to the listing. And first thing I'm going to do when scheduling an appointment is go down and read the showing instructions. This is a huge issue with some people. Maybe no one's ever told them to do that. because sometimes it doesn't just say showing service. So here's the showing instructions. Most of the time it will, but sometimes it says call agent. And then you've sent in a request to showing time that never gets responded to. So the first thing that I say when one of you guys call me and says, oh my gosh, this agent's never, the seller's never confirmed my showing. I always say, did you read the showing instructions? Because maybe it's sitting. So if I have a particular age group of seller who doesn't do text, and they only answer their phone, they don't do email, there's those people. They're relying on a phone call, not a text message. So they're going to need their agent to contact them or the showing service if they have one, and not every company provides a showing service to call. That's why you want to look at those showing instructions. And then yours, what I'm getting at is your showing request and showing time could be sitting idle and no one's even looking at it. So that's why you want to look at that. Actually, theirs says showing service and I don't even see the showing tab. Let's go to the next one. So same thing here, but this one has the schedule the showing, right? So that's going to be the showing instructions in most cases. So you're just going to go ahead and click it. And then this is going to come up. Now, sometimes it looks a little bit different depending on what the company is. And you're going to schedule a single showing, and then a calendar is going to pop up. Or sometimes just the question of time frame, depending on the service that the listing agent uses. So don't get confused when it doesn't look like this every time, because it's not dependent on you. It's dependent on that listing agency and which service they use. So I can see that this blacked out time is obviously this morning, so that time is gone. Sometimes you'll see 2 days blacked out. That could be either they already have back-to-back showings, or for some reason the seller has said, I can't do showings today or tomorrow, and that's blacked out. So if it's blacked out, there's a good reason why you probably can't show it. I always find it funny when an agent calls me and says, I can't schedule a showing at all today. It won't let me. And I'm like, that's because there's appointments every 15 minutes today. So you'll just select the time that you're going to be doing the showing, whatever that is. And when you do, this is going to pop up. I will tell you that this is useful if you're doing an agent preview. So why would you do an agent preview? Couple of things. Maybe your client lives out of town and you're previewing it. You want to notify them that it's an agent preview, because here's what happens. The seller's at the neighbor's house and they only see the agent go in, and they call their agent and say, why the heck was there only one person? Did the agent give out my combo and they let their buyer just come by themselves or something like that? So that's why you want to schedule it properly. In this market, there's no time for second or third showings, but in a normal time, sometimes there's time for second showings. Another reason to do an agent preview is I do know that some agents, while in training, like to go look at houses, and that's okay as long as it's vacant. Don't be scheduling agent previews to view houses and make somebody leave just to be able to be doing an agent preview. I would do that solely on listed properties. And agents sometimes do that just to get comfortable looking at houses or just previewing houses. It's something that we have the ability to do. I don't recommend it, but you can. And then you just hit request appointment, and then you'll get an email that says that your appointment has been received, and then you'll get a new email with the confirmation, and the confirmation will have the showing instructions. And let me show you that. So just scheduled one. So here's my showing that got confirmed. It says showing confirmed. And here's the showing instructions. So here's the combo and it's on the front door. If it says e-key, Supra, electronic box, that's all the same. That is your Supra app that you got when you joined the board on your phone. You will have your own password created to use that. So when someone calls me and says, I don't see what the password is, and it says Supra, that's because you use your own password. Okay? Way. All right. Questions about setting up searches or setting up showings? All right. Moving on. Gonna go back home. All right, so doing a market analysis. It is tricky in this market because there's so few listings. You could get lucky in an area where there's quite a few listings that have been selling in their area for some reason. Right now, especially unique properties. So something that's really old, something that's on a lot of acreage, something that's in a remote area. It's extremely hard to find comps. So you have to get creative and expand your search. So for example, if you have a house built in the late 1800s in Louisville, let's just say, you're more likely to find comps because that area has more older homes. Canal Fulton also is an area that has quite a few century homes. But if you stumble upon a century home in North Canton or Jackson, there's fewer to find. Then you might have to broaden your search. So you might have to expand the time frame. You might have to expand the criteria to find some comparables. So let's just jump in and randomly do it. Anybody have a particular area or price range they would want me? I'm just going to be randomly picking an area. Anything jump to anyone's mind? All right, well, I'm just going to jump in. And again, I'm going to go search residential. So the interesting thing is, sorry, everything's always defaulted for me. You do the CMA the same way you would do that search for your buyers. So just how I put that information in to set up the auto search is the same way I'm going to set up, or I'm going to start my CMA, except for you're going to use the sold and pending. Where when you're setting someone up in a search, you're not using the pending or the sold. I really don't use expireds, honestly, unless I have to, because they didn't sell. So are they a good comparable? There's something that caused them not to sell. So that's not a really good comparable. And I typically also don't use withdrawns or temporary off the market because there's something about them that caused them not to sell. Therefore, I don't want to use them in my statuses. So when I'm running my comparables, honestly, the first thing that I do is type in the address. So let's see, I recently did a CMA for my appointment. That's tomorrow night. So I pulled the address. So I've got this listing appointment tomorrow evening. So the first thing I did was I typed in the address and I came up with that. Okay, this is on the MLS. It's not always. So this is my subject property. So we'll just roll with it for the listing appointment that I have tomorrow. And so I can now see only one photo, but it gives me some idea. So I can see that it's a center split level. So this is going to have 3 levels. It could have a basement. I don't know yet. And I can see that they bought it in 2010 and that they paid $110 for it. God. And then I can see that it's a 4-bedroom and that it's 2,024 square feet and that it's on an acre of land. It's got a 2-car garage. It's got well and septic, and it was built in 1975. So most of that information I got over the phone when I was filling out my red sheet. So the red sheet is in the Google Drive. So when doing a CMA, you want to fill out that red sheet. It's kind of your pre-listing appointment. So this is where you're saying, hey, let's take a few minutes to talk about your property so I can prepare for the appointment. I do not do a 2-step listing appointment. A two-step would mean, great, I'll be out Tuesday at 2, I'll take my notes while I'm there, and then I'll come back Thursday night with my CMA. I find that to be an entirely waste of time. I can do everything that I need to do before I go, and then I have a much, much greater chance of getting the listing if I do a one-step appointment. That's solely just my opinion. In any case, plus let's leverage our time, right? Do we really need to go out twice if we can do it all in one appointment? We don't. So now I've got more information other than what she told me. And then I'm going to click on the parcel number, which is here, to get even more accurate information. Why didn't it go? There we go. For Pete's sakes. In any case, it would be here and I can pull it up. This is not it, but let's just take a look. And then it would give me some additional information about the property. If I go under Realist, I can just type in someone's name or address and then pull up the property that way as well. Out of my way. All right, so now I have verification, how many bedrooms and baths, other information on the tax record that I'll need for my listing later. So now I know basically what I'm looking for. So then I'm going to go back up to search residential, and I am going to look at actives, contingents, pendings, and solds. But I know that right now, if I only go back 180 days, I'm not going to find a lot. So I'm going to go back a whole year. And this house was in Navarre. So that's Fairless School District, which is here. So you do need to know that. So I assume people know that Fairless is Navarre, but it's also Brewster and some other little small areas down there. So you will need to have some idea of where, like I know this is in Bethlehem Township, which doesn't help me because I'm not going to search by township. What I'm looking for is the school. So it's okay to say, tell me what school district you're in. And she said Fairless, because I'm not going to find Navarre here. I'm going to find Fairless. Okay. Same goes like, for other schools in the area. Like it's not going to say necessarily, what am I trying to say? Navarre has a few cities that go there. Brewster shares it, that kind of thing. And that's not the case like in Jackson and so on. You'll just start to kind of know that kind of stuff. So then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to say 3 to 4 bedrooms. And even though the tax record said 1 bath, she did tell me they added a bath. So I'm going to say 2+ baths. And I'm going to do some square footage here. So it was just over 2,000 square feet. So I'm going to say 1,800 to 2,400. So now it dropped me down to 18 listings. I'm okay to look through 18 listings. So I'm going to hit results. And here's my results. So again, just like when you were searching for your buyer, now this is included solds, which I'm happy about. I don't want to look at it in a single line. I want to look at that agent thumbnail again. So now I can see the photos, and that's really what I'm looking for. Obviously, this is an active listing that's there. I can tell you just by staring at it, they're crazy. There's no way that that's the correct price for this house. It's on a 1/2 acre. So that's way overpriced. So I am absolutely not going to show them this price. I already know what I think the house should be priced at. And if they see there's an active listing in the area for 300,000, that's nearly the same square footage as them, it'll make them lose their head. And I don't want that. So I'm not going to include that one. This is like a little ranch or a Cape Cod, not at all the same as mine. Mine was a split level. So this is a century home, not going to include that. So I'm just kind of scrolling to see what I can find that might be similar to their house. So this is a bi-level. It's a little bit different, but I would say that it's close enough to the same square footage. It's only a year older and it is a split level. And it sold for $235. So I'm going to check the box next to it. Not going to include a ranch. So here's a split level that looks similar. However, this one is much newer. It's in a totally different era. It has a finished basement and it's on almost 6 acres. So again, it has a separate garage, not at all the same. So I can already see I'm going to run into a jam. So I'm going to need to go back to my criteria and I need to expand because I need some more comparables. That's not going to be enough. So I'm going to go back 500 days and see what happens. And I'm going to start pulling some of this. Because also in, actually, I'm just going to go right here. In my phone conversation with her, she also told me that she thinks her house is worth $260. It's definitely not. So I ran some other comps and this is what I actually ended up with. So I want to show you this agent thumbnail and the ones that I picked. So this was my expanded search. You'll see that there are some of the same ones that were in the last search. Skipping through. So here's a split that's 210. And it's on a similar amount, a little bit more land, similar in age. So I'm going to include that. So she's going to be really disappointed because she thought 260. And furthermore, I don't know how anyone could think that a split level built in 1975 without any updates on only an acre in Navarre is worth 260. So it doesn't even sound right to me. So I'm going to go with not good news. 35. And here's the one I'm going to be showing her. That's what I was looking for to kind of prove my point. So let me also back up and say the reason that I asked, what do you think the house is worth or what do you hope to get for the house is I want to know if I'm coming with good news or bad news. So I know going into it that they're going to give me resistance or not, but also that I need to prove why 260 isn't the case. So let's take a look at this house here. So this is built in 1992. Hers is built in 1975. We know that 2 stories bring more than split levels. This is a 2-story. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. She's a 3-bedroom with 1 3/4 bath. Now this one is not on an acre of property. Either way, it sold in 3 days for $235. So I'm going to bring that because I'm going to show her if this only brought $235, how could she be worth $260? Even in this crazy hot market, there are some listings that sit, and the ones that sit are the ones that severely are overpriced. And then when you start doing price reductions, you've already lost it sounds insane, but if your house doesn't sell in a week, you've lost your window. It used to be 30 days and then it drops. Now it's a week. So I know I'm not doing my job for my client if it hasn't sold in a week with multiple offers. And if we overprice it severely, then that's what's going to happen. So like even this one here, this is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,100 square feet on 6.4 acres that's built in 1890 and they got $235 in 1 day. So those are my comps. And what I do is I just select those. I hit print. I like the agent full with photos version. And then I hit print. But I'm going to hit preview so you can see what that looks like. So here's what the agent full with additional photos looks like. It gives me all the information that I need up top, tells me the days on market, the average price per square foot, and all this information that I need to know here. But more importantly, it gives me the inside photos. So this is what I'm going to look at with them at the listing appointment. We're going to sit there and I'm going to show this to them and I'm going to say, let's just take a look and see how this compares to your house. And then I look for them to tell me. I don't tell them. They usually say, yeah, those sizes of room look about similar. Yeah, their bathroom is kind of similar. Or, whoa, we put all this new stuff in our bathroom, or whatever it is. We're going to look through all those together. And then kind of come to a conclusion there. Oops. My way. For those high C personality people, I do go ahead and do a quick CMA, which is going to give me this report. I don't always pull it out, and here's why. While I'm sitting there and now I've toured the house, I can see, okay, this one over on Dolphin, it's very similar to your house. But maybe this one on Rockville isn't, now that I've been here, and I'm going to pull it out of the pile and I'm not going to show it to them. So this goes back to that one-step appointment. We've sat down, we've gone over my marketing, we've done some talking. Phase 2 of the listing appointment is my tour, where I'm taking notes. And now I can see the real condition of the house. And it might be better than they talked about over the phone, or it might not be. I find that it's never spot on. People that say, you can come, but it's not ready, it's not ready. Don't judge me. I hope you're not taking pictures. Those are the clean people. Those are people that no matter what they do, the house can never be shining enough. And then I go and I'm like, what do you mean it's not ready? I could have taken pictures today. And the ones that say, we've been working for weeks on getting things decluttered. And then you go in and you're like, holy cow, what was it like before I got here? So what I'm getting at is you just don't know. That's the one thing on the conversation on your pre-listing appointment that you'll never know for sure is the condition, because they may tell you the condition based on their own opinion. In my house, if there's one crumb on the kitchen floor, I'm like, oh my God, there's a crumb, and I'm picking it up if someone's in my house. Like suddenly your eyes open to every tiny little spot or fingerprint when you have company over. Some people, I just have come to the conclusion that they're blind or lazy or both, and they don't care how they live, whatever. I mean, I recently had a guy, I think I've told this story before. We were there to take pictures and there was a half-eaten sandwich on the vanity in the bathroom. So you were eating a sandwich before we came and you decided just to leave it there and we're taking photos. And that was only one of the very bizarre things that we had seen in that house. In any case, so you don't know the condition, but now you've done your tour, now you've taken your notes, and now you can sit down and say, whoa, these comps are way too nice. Or, oh, I feel bad because these aren't as nice. Like you can be in that position. So that's why you want to have the ability to decide which ones to pull out and which ones to actually use. So when you bring this report, it doesn't know that you're going to pull this out. So I really only bring out this market analysis if it's a high C and they say, great, I love all the comps. I can see where we're at. Where's your CMA? That's a high C. A person that's a D is like, whatever you say, listen, this is what I want for the house. Where do I sign? So you got to deal back with your disc personalities and know what you've got. But I always have this in my back pocket just in case. And this gives you lots of averages. We used to pay more attention to this before we were in this crazy market. Now it basically is sort of this, we can be 199, we can be 210, really who cares? As long as we're below 260, we're going to sell. So in their case, I mean, I really feel like they shouldn't be more than about 230, but if she wanted to go 240, I would say let's do 239.9, but there's no way that we're above 250. So I don't care within that $10,000 because the market's going to tell us where we're at. And those are the listings that get multiple offers, but they only get full price. And I know that sounds crazy to say only full price. We'll delete this recording in the future so that people don't go, what the hell was Gina talking about? Only full price. But the listings that get 40,000 over are the ones that were priced at market value, not the ones that were overpriced. So they have actually a better chance of getting 30,000 over asking price if they price it under market value. And this is a really nice breakdown by bedrooms, baths, year built, square footage, acreage, date that it went sold, price per square foot, days on market, all that stuff. Questions on any of that?
When you go to the thumbnails, what's the difference between the agent and the full, or the buyer full? You got
Here,
you got agent full as opposed to buyer full. What's the difference?
okay, good question. So the agent full is going to have some additional information that the buyer full will not. So for example, the days on market, that's not going to be on a buyer full. Also, the agent full is for our information because we can see who the listing agent was. We don't want to send the buyer with other listing agent information. It will say your name here on the buyer full.
Okay.
So that's really the only couple things. We need to see other information that the client doesn't. So like we on the agent full, we're going to see broker remarks and things like that. The buyer synopsis or the buyer full, they're not going to see stuff that was meant for the eyes of the agent.
Okay.
Any other questions? We've got about 10 minutes left for any questions. Should I stay on here or do a stop share? Did all that make sense? Does it seem easier now?
Yeah.
All right, well, if there's no questions, then I'm going to turn it over to Jessica. Let me, I stop share. Stop the recording.